Good morning, guys. Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be working on the Lexus. We're going to be replacing the seals on the front diff, because after I noticed that it was leaking, it just got worse. Once I did the service on it, replaced the oil, put oil back to the level it was, even put a treatment in it to see if it would stop the seal from leaking. It was this one. This is the one for this is the input shaft seal. And we have to figure out how we're gonna do this on the ground here. I got a few tools. I got some taller jack stand, not like taller than these, and I got another jack that I had in the other house. And I've also bought an engine support bar. We're gonna figure out how to do that one on this car. But first, I'm gonna go feed the dinosaurs and drink some coffee, because it's early in the morning. These are the seal numbers. If you're looking to do this job, these are the numbers directly from the Lexus or Toyota dealer. I spent about almost $50 for seals. At the dealer, to do this job, they were gonna charge me $2,000, a little bit over $2,000. We're gonna try to do this for the cost of the seals and the jack stands, the new jack stands I bought, which I got here. I got these jack stands from Harbor Freight. They're taller. They're meant for heavier equipment, like maybe a pickup truck. And I got another jack similar to this one, but I didn't buy that. I already had that, so I didn't have to buy it now. So for the cost of those jack stands and the seals and the support bar, that's gonna be it for us. Hopefully we get it done. Should be no problem. It's just gonna be a little bit challenging because it's on the floor. Finished the Jeep. The front suspension is done. The front brakes are done. Rear brakes are done. The rear axle seals are done. I still got to do the rack and pin because it's leaking a little bit, and I have it. The Jeep now runs nice and straight and smooth for now, but we'll get back to that. Like I said, let me go feed the babies, the dinosaurs. Gotta get a little bit of wormies to of. Here you go, guys. Enjoy your breakfast. I'll give you more in a little bit. Anyway, let me go put some stuff together, jack up the car, have it set up, and then I'll get back to the video. Okay, I got the engine support bar out of the package, and there's no instructions, so I'm gonna have to watch the videos from the site of the purchase, and then I'll put it together and show you guys how it goes together. I'll leave a link for it if you guys are gonna purchase something like this. Maybe if you like the video and you want to use the same one, it'll be linked in the description below. And also got the jack stands out of the package. These are from Harbor Freight, so you can go get yourself some of these. They're pretty cool. What I like about these, they're heavy duty. They got the locking mechanism, plus they got a pin to hold everything in place, a heavy duty pin. Let me see how it goes. So it gets inserted into here. If I could just get it in there. Oh, okay, maybe from the other side. And what I like about it is that it has the pin to lock it, to help it secure it. Man, I can't. Okay, there it goes. Right? So if this fails, this mechanism fails, this will hold this part from coming down, right? Plus, you lock that in with another pin. You secure that with this little pin so it cannot fall off on you. Right? See? That's pretty cool, right? I like them. I don't remember how much I spent on it, but they're at Harbor Freight If you want to be extra safe, man, this is the way to go. I mean, being underneath the car is pretty dangerous. I like these, not like those. Those are cool, they work, but they don't have a locking pin like this with another pin to lock it in place so that it doesn't vibrate out. Pretty cool. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna put this together and then we'll get started. All right, guys, I got this pretty much assembled the way it goes. I didn't even have to look at the video, I just looked at the pictures and went for it. These things, these rubber blocks, they sit there, but they fall off. So they don't. There's nothing to secure them in place. So I just use tape. I was gonna glue them, but my glue dried up. But tape or glue, whatever you want to use, or even smash these. Once you have them in, maybe you can bend this so that it grabs and doesn't let go of the block, so they want to fall out. So it's up to you how you want to do that. 16mm bolt head with nuts. These are, you got to use the little bearings that come in this little box. That bearing is right there. It's gonna be flapping everywhere. It's a 3-piece bearing. It's not a big deal. Just put it in there, put the flat washer, put this on, and start screwing it into here. And these get screwed into here, but make sure you don't screw them too hard, because then they kind of lock this into this and you won't be able to thread it in. And then the chain gets hooked up to here in case you need it. You might just use the hook, or you just might use the chain with the hook. These flat washers, I think they go down here, but I'm not gonna use them right now. But I think they're supposed to go here, you know, thread it in and sit at the bottom. But I don't see the use for them right now, because I want this to be able to come out and reposition. And with the flat washer, and I won't be able to take it out and reposition it. But I think the most important one is this one, the one on the top. But that's what I think so far. So now we're gonna try to figure out where to hook it up to the car engine, and we'll take it from there. Okay, I got the car jacked up to this point. It's pretty high up from the ground. And I got my two brand new jack stands. That's where I locate them. I use my 2 jacks. This is the second jack I was telling you about. Got the wheels off, and I placed this where I thought I would need it, but I still don't know where I'm gonna hook it up to the engine. At this point, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be able to use it, because I don't see any bracket, like lifting bracket on the engine. They usually have them in the front, usually in the front corners, left or right, and in the back. I don't see any. So, who knows? We might not use this. We might use a supporting jack underneath. I don't know. Or maybe another option, guys, if you're doing this to another car and you have lifting points, or you decide to lift it from wherever, you can use a hoist, an engine hoist. The engine hoist right here, as long as it's not in the way, to support the engine while you remove the subframe. And the reason why you got to do this is because the subframe has the motor mounts. That's the only reason why you even have to do that. But anyway, this is what I got so far, and we're gonna start moving forward. The differentials on the driver's side, and it's right in there. So basically, this is where I'm stopping right now, because I got to go get a socket for that. That's a special socket. That's a 12-point, whatever size that is, 24mm. I don't know, but I'll have to figure that out. And this whole part, the brake assembly, the nut for this has to come out, so that I can, maybe I have to remove it from here, so that I have enough room to remove the CV joint. I don't know, we'll go step by step. First time doing this on this car, so I know the CV joint has to come off from here and probably the other side. But I need a socket, so I'm gonna go get a socket. Then again, I have to also drain the oil from the differential, so I'll start draining that. So you have it, guys, it's draining, and you can see that it's wet right there where one of the seals is on the side of the differential. It's wet over here on the engine passenger side. There's no seal here, right? So that oil is finding its way into the tube that goes through the engine oil pan and coming out here. And it's also leaking on the other drive shaft, on the other side of the seal. So that's, and then it's also leaking from the back of the differential. Yeah, fantastic. That's the reason why I'm doing this. Now this whole frame has to come out. This whole frame. I have to take some of these plastic covers off so we have access to bolts on the top, and I have to remove some part of the well, like I said, the CV joint axles. The passenger side one has that bolt. You have to remove that bolt, and you have to take off this snap ring in order to be able to pull the CV joint axle out. That's on the passenger side. The bolts for to drain the oil from the diff, it's a 14 millimeter. So is the fill plug. That's a 14 millimeter. Okay, I'm gonna start taking these. All these plastic pieces gotta come out in the front. They're 10 millimeter bolts, heads. Make sure you don't lose any bolts. That's a whole bunch. Wear safety glasses, guys, because you're gonna have stuff fall in your face as you're doing this. And it's off. That's how it looks without it. And the reason why I need to take it off is because I have to access these bolts and those bolts. Same thing on the other side. That's the only reason why. And also probably the drive shaft. Not the drive shaft, the steering shaft that comes to the rack and pinion. This is the rack and pinion right here, right? So it's connected to the tie rods. So on the driver's side, there's a shaft that goes up, and I have to have access to that to remove that. So since we're gonna do that, let's secure the steering wheel, make sure that it's nice and straight. And this is the way we're gonna secure the steering wheel. So with the seatbelt, once you make sure that it's in the center, and yeah, it has the locking mechanism, right? It won't unlock because of the key, right? So you know that the key, if you don't press the start button and you have the key, it won't unlock the steering wheel. But anyways, besides that, we want to make sure it doesn't move on us. So steering wheel, seatbelt on it with the steering wheel connected to that. I had to move the seat forward a little bit. Now I can move the seat back a little bit more if I want to make it a little tight. Don't ruin your seatbelt, but make sure it's just not going to go nowhere. That's all. So it doesn't spin freely. That's all we want to do. Not a big thing. But now we know the steering wheel is not going to go nowhere. Okay, so for now we're going to go ahead and remove these brackets. They're 12 millimeter. Hey, that one came out easy, not this one. That's fine. I'm gonna get a ratchet. But yeah, you can remove these, and there's another one on the other side, right there. So I found the socket that I need. It's a 30 millimeter. Let me see, I don't have my glasses on yet. 30 millimeter. Can't focus, but anyway, 30 millimeter, guys. 12 point. I got a screwdriver holding it on one of these slots on the rotor, and I'm gonna heat the nut up with the torch, and then I'm gonna give it hell. And there you have it, guys. A little bit of heat, and it comes right out. Plus I cleaned the threads with a wire brush and lubricated it. And it's out. Now I gotta do the same thing to the other side. Yep, there it is. Yep, same thing on the passenger side. Little heat. Got the screw screwdriver right there on the opposite side, obviously. The other side was on the bottom, this side is on the top because of the direction of the nut. And it's coming out. Oh, I got the nuts out, so next thing is to remove this pin and remove the nut. So you have to see, how does it come out? Does it pull right out or what? What do you guys think? That's a different kind of pin. Yeah, I think it pulls right out. It just has a locking mechanism. There's this piece right here that locks it. Alright, I'm gonna try this off camera and then I'll show you guys what it has. I think I need a needle nose plier. Okay, so I got it out, guys. See, it has that hook. That hook on this side is holding onto the nut, so you gotta pull that out and then pull that up, right out, and then pull it, and it comes right out. Now we're gonna figure out what size that is and take that out. Yeah, she's 17 millimeter, but she's not coming out that easy. So a little heat, and we'll do the same thing we did with the CV joint nut. That's why I always keep this little torch on hand whenever I'm doing suspension work. Yep, a little bit of heat, and it's coming out. Okay, now we'll see if we smack here, if the ball joint is gonna come out. There it goes. Beautiful. Next step is to remove the caliper and hang it somewhere, maybe on the upper control arm. 17 millimeter bolts, 2. That takes the whole caliper and bracket off. Okay, after you secure the caliper, push in the shaft of the CV joint and take it out. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out off the front knuckle. The way I'm gonna do it is by, once I push it in, I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna fight with it until I get the tip out of there and out this way. All right, there it is, guys. One thing that I forgot to tell you is that you have to remove the bolt that is holding the speed sensor, the brackets for the speed sensor, because if you don't, the knuckle cannot come out further enough to allow you to take that out. So with that removed, it gives you enough room for you to just pull it out and have it resting right here. Now the next thing will be to pull it out of the differential. All right, guys, so the axle wasn't coming out, so I ended up putting the bar right through here. See it? And it was behind the axle, and I hit it with the hammer and it popped out. I was hanging. But yeah, I didn't want to come out just by hand or just with the pry bar prying it out, so I had to smack it. I got my little trusty hammer here. That's a 4-pound hammer, and my bar, my pry bar. Passenger side, I did everything that I had to do, just like on the other side. The axle is removed from the spindle. It's right here. And I'm underneath. The only difference is for this one, for this axle, you're gonna need a 14 millimeter socket to remove that. And I already started removing the snap ring, but this side is stuck, so I'm gonna hit it. And but I'm gonna remove this. It's a 14, and then we'll work on that. I'm using, you can use a needle nose plier or a hose plier like this. That's what I'm using. You can also use a snap ring plier. It's just, that's a different style of snap ring plier. It doesn't have the little holes, so you can insert the little pins and grab it. But you can still use it. You can still get it out without it. And I'll show you how. But first, let's get that bolt out. Let's get that bolt out. Nope, it's pretty tight, so I'm gonna have to use the big boy. Okay, the bolt is loose. I had to use the bigger impact. Just loosen it up till you get a couple of threads. Well, it's almost out, right? That way it stays there and it's not holding that axle. There's a plastic piece inside here you don't want to lose. That's why leave the bolt in there, so that way with vibration of taking this thing out, it doesn't fall on you. So that way it stays in there. Now we're gonna work on the snap ring. So I'm still fighting with the snap ring. The rust is just holding it on that end right there. And I sprayed it down with some PB Blaster and moving it. I'm winning. It's just taking me a while for some reason. It's just not letting go. But I'm gonna win. I am going to win one way or the other. I might need a new snap ring by the time I'm done, but I'm just gonna keep on. I even used the torch a little bit, but I'll get it out. Got it out, guys. Told you I was gonna win. Now hopefully that axle doesn't give me a hard time, but it probably will because it was rusty. So I'm gonna spray it down, clean it as best as I can, and then I'm gonna start smacking it into right from there, like I did with the other one. I'll put the fucking pry bar there and I'll smack it. So like I said, this thing is not coming out. It's gonna be a very, very hard time. So I'm gonna move on with something else. I'm gonna move on with the bolts. Well, I'm gonna secure the transmission that is attached to the engine. Hopefully that will hold the engine in place by holding the transmission in place, and then we'll work on all the bolts for the subframe and also the steering shaft. The steering shaft. So I was working on the drive shaft that goes to the front diff. Gotta remove that. That's gonna be 6mm head bolt, Allen, and it has 3 that go on with that piece and 3 that go on with the other piece. And the way I did it was using my impact with a swivel socket and an extension. You don't need an impact, you can use your ratchet if you don't have it. But you do have to position the shaft in ways where you can get to it through here or through here. You can put the car in neutral, so you can turn the drive shaft. But if you got the calipers out, you gotta stick a piece of board in there because you have to press the brake to be able to shift into neutral. So you need something in the caliper, because if you don't, when you press on the brake, the calipers will, the piston will pull right out and you'll have a mess of oil and you'll have a mess. Then you have to bleed the brakes to put everything back together when you're done. So to avoid that, put a piece of wood in place of the rotor in the caliper on both sides. Okay, I think the next step will be to, the strut is gonna come down with it, right? The strut with the coil. So we're gonna go ahead and remove from both sides the 3 nuts. Because when we bring down the whole subframe, it's gonna come out with the lower control arm. It's gonna come out with the rack and pinion, and it's gonna come out with the strut and the coil. Okay, that was 14mm nuts. Place them where you're gonna find them. The other ones are out also, and I place them up there somewhere. And now we have to start. Well, the shaft, I removed the bolt, but the shaft's still kind of stuck. I think that's gonna release once I start bringing everything down. So I smacked it a few times. I don't want to hurt it. I don't want to hit it too hard to separate it. It's not separating, but it will. So now we're gonna work on the bolts for the frame. And part of the bolts for the frame are gonna be that big one right there, and that is a 19mm. And then in the back, that big one right there is 24, and the two little ones in that bracket are 14. But before you do that, you got to secure the engine somehow, because that's the subframe and that's holding the engine. So I'm gonna try to use my transmission jack to support the transmission up, and that should be able to hold the engine up in place too. So I'm gonna see how I fit it down there. I have my old transmission jack right here. You know, it barely gets used. I had it covered, but hopefully it works. All right, guys, I got the jack nice and secure where I want it, holding the transmission up, and that should hold the engine up when the engine cradle is off, the subframe is off. It looks pretty stable where it's at. Has pressure. It's good to go. So now we're gonna work on the bolts for the subframe. Oh no, wait, we gotta look at the rack and pinion shaft. That has to be loosened up, and that's in here somewhere. There it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that bolt and try to pry that shaft up. Okay guys, it's coming out. It's a 12 millimeter head, and it's out. Now what we gotta do, it's I'm gonna spray that down a little bit to lubricate it, and I'm gonna try to separate those two pieces. Okay, I'm gonna try to force it up, but it's not. So I'm gonna stick a chisel right in here to see if it opens it up a little bit and then pops up. Or try to hit it here so it goes up. I stuck a screwdriver in there, hit it with the hammer, and it split a little bit. Now I'm gonna hit it from the bottom with this chisel. I'm gonna find a spot to hit it from the bottom and see if I can get it off. So I'm right here. I think I'm gonna squeeze right in here with the chisel, and I'm gonna hit it towards, hit it, and it's probably gonna pry out. I'll give that a shot. So it worked. I really had to work at it, and so I ended up sticking my screwdriver in that slot, and then I ended up sticking a chisel in that slot, and then I ended up sticking the pry bar in that slot. So that you gotta open, plus PB blaster, and then hitting it from the bottom through the frame till I finally got it out. All right guys, so yeah, you have to work it. Hopefully yours doesn't, but mine, see all the rust? But I finally got it off. So now we can work on the frame bolts. Should be good to go. Okay, so I got the subframe supported with the two jacks. Now we can go ahead and remove the bolts of the subframe along with the engine mount bolts. So we're gonna start with this one and that one. That's 19 millimeter. Now we're gonna do that big one, 24 millimeter right there. Okay, there's the bolt completely out. Now we're gonna do the motor mounts. But we're gonna do the same thing on the other side too. So motor mounts are 19 millimeter also. No, no, they're not 19. They're what size? I said they were 17, was it? Yep, 17 millimeter. Yep, 17 millimeter, guys. Okay, we're on the other side, and we're gonna do the engine mount bolts. Okay, why is it not coming out? Why is it not coming out? Alright guys, Alright guys, there's the big bolt, 24mm head, the 2 motor mount nuts. The front bolts are done, nuts. I guess now all we gotta do is lower it little by little. And see what happens. I'm gonna start working on this side and on the other side, back and forth. And I'll show you guys how's it working. All right guys, in the front, there's a wire harness that goes across from side to side. And it has a bracket too. So we have to remove that and those brackets before it starts coming out, because it started getting hung up on me, and I think that's the reason why. So 10mm and some plastic clips on here. Plastic clips, 10mm. Let's get it. All right guys, so discovered that it's not just the bracket, but we got that plug right there. We have that plug right there. And we have that union right there of that plug. So far I unlocked that one. You see that black part? You have to pull that with a hook, and then so this part, pull it up. I used the hook, plus I lubricate it with PB Blaster, and then I pull up on this, and this seems to be releasing it somehow. So I'm working on that right now. And the next ones are all squeeze and pull type. Squeeze and pull, squeeze and pull. That one is a little complicated one. Yep, so once I pull on that gray part, it kind of released the plug. And then I pushed the plug back that direction. So once this lock was out and I pull on this, it released the plug, and then I pushed the plug that way with a flathead screwdriver here and here and here, so eventually it came off from there. So now we're gonna try that. I'm not mistaken, you squeeze that and pull. I'm gonna work on that. Then you squeeze it down and then you pull it. All right guys, so got that one out, got that one out, got that one out. So squeeze and pull, squeeze and pull. Now it's not gonna come out easy, guys. You have to work it and try not to break it. I use a combination of my hose pliers to squeeze and my hooks to get behind it and kind of like pry it off on both of them. Plus I lubricated them with PB Blaster because, well, they've been on forever. Also the hook, to try to get in between the material and separate them a little bit to break the seal. And now we're gonna try to lower this. You're never gonna believe this, guys. So this side is coming down just fine. See, the motor mount is separated. That started to come down, and this started to come down. Big gap right there. But the other side, see this motor mount? See the gap? The other side, for some reason the motor mount's stuck. I even put the nuts back on, and I'm hitting the studs so that it separates, but it won't separate. See that? I even hit it with a chisel right here. That's why it's shiny. And it just won't come apart. Put the nuts back up, and I'm hitting the nuts up. Try to get it so that it comes off, but it won't. Amazing. That's the only thing holding me back right now. It's always something. As you can see, if I leave the CV joint, it's gonna stay here. And then once we remove the front differential out, maybe we can hit this thing and get it out, because I need to replace it. Because look at the nut. When I removed the nut, it messed up the threads. Unless I can leave it on and fix the threads and leave it alone. But I would like to replace it. There's nothing wrong with it except for that. I don't know, maybe I can make it work with a new nut. I don't know, it's pretty beat up. But anyway, I'm working on that right now. I'm tired. I think I'm gonna stop and come back tomorrow. All Alright guys, I figured it out. It wasn't the transmission, engine mount. It was actually here in this bolt. So I sprayed it and then I smacked the bolt with a rubber mallet. I hit it that way and then I hit it this way, and it finally vibrated and it came down. I did that without, with the weight, with the jack a little bit down, leaving a gap. So now it should drop. Now I'm gonna start dropping each side, little by little. Another thing that I forgot to tell you guys, that I completely removed the wheel speed sensor from the hub because it's gonna go down with the subframe. So I completely off, 10mm, put the bolts back in there, and I stuffed it in that hole so it stays out of the way. Same thing on the other side. Okay guys, coming down little by little, but it gets stuck here too, so keep that in mind. It's gonna, the spring's gonna want to get stuck on the upper control arm. So the subframe is lowered, and I pulled it to this side so that hopefully I have enough room to have access to all the bolts. I'm probably gonna have to remove this motor mount. Now, if for some reason I don't have any space, what I would do is definitely get this whole subframe out of here with the help of somebody. I'll probably loosen this up, this nut up. Maybe make these come down, because I can't push it that way or this way because they got these uprights, right? The struts. So I would have to either remove one and push it that way, or remove that one and push it this way, whichever way. But as of right now, I'm happy this thing is down. I can see how this is gonna be a pain in the ass to bring it back up, but with patience, anything is possible, and without rushing it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, so far so good, guys. So this is it for now. This is gonna be part 1. We're gonna attempt removing that next and replacing the seals. Thank you for watching. Watch part 2. Subscribe is free. Leave a comment. Any questions? Catch you in part 2.